Hello and welcome to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. This is your host, Ashley from Ashley Taylor Wellness. On this podcast, we talk about all things beauty, health, wellness, and optimization. Being a high maintenance hippie represents not being boxed in, as I strongly believe that one size does not fit all. I'm a nurse turned coach, and I have learned so much about both conventional and alternative options, and I want to help you expand your options. I'm here to inspire you to learn new ways to improve your quality of life and to take your power back. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Citrine is my favorite one-stop shop for all things clean, skincare, and beauty. I'm so grateful to have found this store because it's truly a high maintenance hippie's dream store. It can be really overwhelming making swaps. I started doing this in 2016. There were so many options, and yeah, there were some products that had fewer toxins, but they didn't exactly work. So I love this store because the owner, Melissa, has curated the best of the best. Many lines that I was already using. Agent Nature is a great example. Tata Harper. So once again, you can go into the store, Citrine. The code will actually work if you mention it in person, Ashley Taylor Wellness. You can go to their website, citrinenaturalskin.com. Use the code Ashley Taylor Wellness to save 10% off. And I look forward to sharing more of my favorites. This store is amazing, and I couldn't think of a better company to help support the podcast because it is everything high maintenance hippie, and I absolutely love it. Hello, and welcome back to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. I'm very excited about our guest today, Melissa Lenberg. She is someone that I heard of through my esthetician. She's like, you got to go check out her store, Citrine. So I'm so glad that I did. And Melissa owns Citrine Natural Beauty Bar. It's here in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's also a mom and just so radiant inside and out. So thank you so much for being here, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. This is the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. And to me, it's really about not boxing ourselves in. I do get Botox. I don't think that it's totally healthy, but in a toxic world, pick your poisons. So what would you say being a high maintenance hippie looks like for you?
Ooh, okay. Well, I am definitely like a clean beauty girl, like through and through. But I do still get my nails done. So that's like my pick
Okay.
your poison kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that, we all have a toxic load in this world. And so whatever you can do to lessen that, that's great. But we also are living on planet Earth and we can't be perfect 100% of the time. So I believe that things that bring you joy, there's an added benefit to that as well too. So like you said, pick your poison and have that good balance.
Yes. A therapist years ago when I was in college smoking, which obviously isn't healthy, I was really stressed and I was down to 3 cigarettes a day from a pack. And she said the stress you're putting on yourself is probably worse than those 3 cigarettes. So I think
Mm.
when it comes to living a cleaner life and the low tox lifestyle, for a lot of people it's this obsession and it's stressful for people.
Yeah, they can
And
take it the other way. They can go too far
right.
the other way. Absolutely.
Yes. So I went there and then I found there's a middle ground. I just need to listen to my body and decide if my body can really handle some of these things. But your store is incredible.
Thank you.
So what I have experienced there is skincare products, makeup, which I'm still learning how to do. So hopefully you'll have more classes
Yes.
and these events that bring women together. And it's so amazing. So tell me about starting Citrine. What was that like for you?
So I was a makeup artist working in LA for several years, and I had rheumatoid arthritis where I was like living over there. So I was dealing with an autoimmune issue myself. And I really was being super mindful living in LA, and I lived in LA in like the early 2000s. So I was already into like organic, like foods and, that sort of thing, but I had no idea what was in beauty products. So my health kind of suffered, and I moved back here to Phoenix, which is where I'm from. And with that, I was like, what am I going to do out here? There's no like celebrities, there's not like a ton of like makeup gigs out here for me to do. And so I decided I literally took a trip to Sedona one day and I went to the Peace Park, which is a beautiful place that you can go there and meditate. And I just had this complete download of opening a clean beauty store. I was holding a citrine in my hand. And so it was like literally had the download to do it. I came back from that trip back down to Phoenix. I looked up places to like potentially open and I found a spot like the very next day. So very meant to be.
Yes, and the store is beautiful. It's very centrally located. So if you're in the area, please check it out. When you were growing up, when you were a teen and learning about beauty, what were the standards like back then for you?
Well, for me, I mean, beauty started for me much earlier than teenage years. I was always fascinated with beauty. And thankfully, I mean, I wasn't into clean beauty back then, but my mom did have, she was always like making sure, I got what she thought was the best. So I was very aware of, just beauty at even a young age and products and like even back then what people would think would be good or dermatologist tested or whatever that meant. So I was always trying to get products that weren't clogging pores, that sort of thing.
Do you feel that clean beauty was a thing back then?
Oh no. No, I'm 41, so
Okay.
definitely not.
Okay.
I don't think that clean beauty was a thing back then. Um, I think for a long time the beauty industry kind of went under the radar. And then I feel like us as a collective started to wake up to a lot of different things, and now we're waking up
Mm-hmm.
to everything. And so even when, I mean, Citrine will be 11 years old this year in November. And so even when I started Citrine, which seems like fairly recent, but I guess is still 11 years ago. I mean, it was challenging back then, People were not like they were not used to clean. They were very hesitant, very optimistic. It's not going to work. It's going to be crunchy. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be granola. And so I had a lot of challenges, but I overcame them all because I'm very passionate about what I do. I believe that I was really put on this earth because, like I said, I've had a passion for beauty since I was younger to really, be this part of service to the community. You know what I mean? And that
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing people that they can have these beautiful products that make them feel beautiful and that they can actually be good for them. And that I feel like, especially as women, is just a complete introduction into living a better lifestyle and to be more intentional with the other choices that you are making in your life.
Yes. And you mentioned that you were dealing with some autoimmune conditions.
Mhm.
So is that why you made the shift to clean beauty for health
Partly,
purposes?
Part,
Okay.
part, partly, yeah. I didn't know if it was going to make a difference in my health at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't educated enough. But I really do feel like it did make a complete difference. I mean, I think that along with, just everything that came with that. I mean, I was always, like I said, really into the food, but then like getting into beauty made me get more into what am I cleaning my home with? Okay, what am I taking prescription wise? What do I need to adjust wellness wise? Like it's a trickle effect. And so I just believe that that whole thing, I mean, I'm like on no pharmaceuticals at all. I don't even associate with having an autoimmune nowadays. I
Amazing.
do think that we have the ability to heal ourselves. And I believe that beauty was that stepping stone for me.
I would agree. I was
Yeah.
listening to a podcast driving in 2016 from North Carolina to California on a travel nursing contract. And the podcast, I believe it was the Health Bridge, but this gentleman was speaking about, well, why would women wear blush on their cheeks? Or why would we want long hair? And it's because when we take care of ourselves, we have good circulation and we don't have bags under our eyes and all of that. So whatever your motivating factor is, I'm not here to judge, but beauty was one of the things that really helped me make that shift, and it benefited my health. And it I mean, it's really easy now to find clean
Oh,
products,
yes,
but I'm
definitely.
35. Maybe 10 years ago it was a little bit harder. Did you notice that it was harder to find clean products, especially in beauty and skincare, 10 years ago versus today?
Definitely. And I think that now people are just, they're companies are feeling the pressure. They're feeling the pressure to make a change into what they're doing. Also, a lot of brands, they are even back then, people were doing it in their kitchen. So they were starting out really small. So a lot of
Mm.
these brands started out really small, and then they've also been able to like grow over the years and get just more of, I think, a platform.
So I noticed that a lot of products that I tried didn't really work. And I'm so grateful now because a lot of people don't want to spend the money. You know, it's better for their health, but they're not sure
Sure,
if it's actually going to work.
sure.
But that's the whole point of your store is that you've tried all these things and put together truly the latest and greatest, and it makes it very easy for people. So I'm very
Well,
grateful.
thank you. Yeah, so the way that I curate, I'm very different than a lot of other stores because if I don't love it, I will not bring it in. Regardless if it's a brand that is even like, oh, it's doing really well or it's some celebrity is on it or say, but they carry it at Sephora.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you carry it here? If I do not love the product, I will not carry it. I've been working in beauty for a very long time. And I think that my standards are really high. And I know what works on people and I know what people enjoy. And I also think that sometimes there are too many options. So instead of giving like too much, I'm just really selective in my curation process, making sure that I'm doing the homework for people too, so they don't have to worry about, what it is that they are are selecting from my store. They know that I've already done that homework, but at the same time they also know that like the efficacy, like everything is there.
Yes. And thank you for taking the guesswork out for a lot of people. And to me, that's integrity. There are a lot of products that I've even been asked to promote, but if I don't use it and love it, I'm not going to promote it because integrity is so important. You don't want to just lose the trust of your audience or your customers just to make a
Totally.
buck. So, everything in your store you absolutely love and have curated
Yes.
yourself. That is amazing. And then another thing, voting with our dollar. That is so, so, so important. So, if more people start buying clean beauty, then what's going to happen? More companies will make more of those products. And if we keep buying more of the old stuff, then that's what we'll have.
Absolutely.
So, vote with your dollar is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is a little controversial question, but sometimes clean beauty products don't have preservatives in
Mhm.
them, which is great. But what would you recommend as far as replacing products so that they don't grow bacteria or mold or something that a conventional beauty product may not have because of the preservatives and other
Sure. Yeah.
ingredients?
Actually, we were just having this conversation the other day. So that's funny you asked. So, in terms of beauty products, so this is where I will also say when you're dealing with clean beauty, quote unquote, right? A lot of products that are oil based, it's very hard for them to even grow mold, right? Or grow bacteria in those kind of compounds. However, when you are dealing with things that are water based or when you're dealing with things like makeup, sure. I mean, you need to be mindful of that. So making sure that you replace everything as suggested because and checking usually on the back of the box they'll have like a little thing and when you see that it'll tell you how many months it lasts. There's a big thing on TikTok right now about the Kosas concealer, which we carry, and people are saying, "Oh, it smells horrible, and mine is growing mold in it." Well, if you look, I can't remember off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this, but it's either on the box, it's either 3 or 6 months, and I guarantee you that those people have probably had it longer than that. So I think a lot of times it's just that that education piece of getting people to know that in clean beauty they may not last as long as a conventional product. So don't buy more than you need. Don't buy more than you're going to use. Like I can tell you, like a Kypris face mask, it has an expiration after you open it of 3 months. But if you're using the product like you should be, then you're going to go through that product easily in 3 months. Um, there's a lot of green technology out there in terms of what you can put in products to give them the like more of a natural based preservative. And I think that we're going to see more and more of those continue to come onto the market. When it comes to makeup per se, I'm a little bit more forgiving in terms of what I'll look at for ingredients. As opposed to skincare. Skincare, I'm very, very mindful of because I just think that there is so much that you can do in terms of formulation that you just do not need to have anything in there in terms of a lot of synthetic preservatives.
Are there any preservatives that come to mind that you would absolutely recommend avoiding?
Well, I mean, just like all the ones that are known to people would be like parabens. One that I see a lot of clean beauty stores actually still allowing is phenoxyethanol. It goes under the radar. People kind of put it in place of parabens. It says that it can be safe in small amounts, but I just believe that, especially with like skincare, there's really no need to put something like that in there. So that would be one that I think that even some clean brands, I've seen them try to sneak in there.
I have never heard of that
Yeah.
before. Okay, so could you repeat that one more
Yes, it's
time?
called phenoxyethanol.
Does it have some type of alcohol in it as well, if it's ethanol?
It may, I'm not 100% sure
Okay,
of the whole compound. Yeah.
but we want to avoid that. Okay. One thing that I absolutely love is the glam bag. I got my first one and it was incredible. I heard about it. I went to one
Yep.
of the events and there was a lady there and she asked if I had ever received the glam bag. I'm like, no, what is that? So I got my first one, and this is something you do a few times a year.
Yes, it's something that we do a couple times a year. So that is something that we started a couple years ago, and it's really like my way of like doing a fun gift with purchase where people get to try more clean beauty because not everybody lives close to a clean beauty store, obviously. A lot of people are buying online. And so this is just a way for them to be able to try more products, to get introduced to different brands and really expand clean beauty as a whole.
And the bags are amazing. It's not like they're things I wouldn't use. All of these products, I'm like, wow, some of them I already have. And then some, after learning a little bit more about them, I'm like, I can't believe this is in here. It's really,
Thank
really
you.
amazing. And typically the value, oh, you're welcome. Thank you. The value's around 300 for the bags, depending on what's in there.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what's in the bag. So everyone, our vendors are so gracious to provide this to us, which we're very lucky. And it's a great marketing opportunity, obviously, for them as well to get more people that are interested in clean beauty exposed to their products. And between normally like $300 to $400 is the value of the bag. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I opened that up and I was like, this is amazing. And all I had to do was make a purchase of, I believe,
Yeah, and it's
150.
different every time. So it just depends. It depends on the value of the
Okay.
bag. We adjust it accordingly every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what are some of your favorite products, whether that's skincare and or beauty that you carry?
Oh, that is like very hard to answer, but I will do my best. I know that you're a big fan of Age Tour, and so am I. I
Mm-hmm.
love Jenna, and I think the way that she formulates also just kind of goes in line with like the way that I curate, right? She formulates products based on what it is that she sees, like, oh, I'm using this conventional, and I want to make this but clean. And I think that there's really something to that. And when you are not like out of the box, like, oh, I'm going to have a skincare brand and I'm going to have this many SKUs, and you're really going in and you're being super mindful, you just hit it out of the park. And so I love the whole Holy Trinity, which is everything holy water, the holy sea, the holy oil. I love Kypris, which I know you attended that event as well too. I love the antioxidant dew
Yes.
serum. That is one of my favorites. And then a brand that I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that you've ever experienced before that we carry. It's called Patika. It's a Parisian brand,
Haven't even heard of it.
and I really love their cleansers. And then Ayuna is another brand. It's a brand from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much love everything Ayuna puts out because they really take their innovation to the next level. And then for makeup, I would say my go-tos are RMS. I really love like all everything that they've done. They've done a lot of rebrand lately, but I mean, it's kind of like asking to pick a child, right? For me, it's a little hard, but
Yeah.
those are like definitely my go-tos, like my ride or dies.
I haven't tried RMS, and I believe there was a makeup class.
Yeah. Yeah, we did one with them.
Oh, I would love it if something like that happened again. I was not able to make it, but that is so cool. When I do my makeup, it doesn't look so great. So you have a background also
I
being a
do.
makeup artist. So how long did you do that?
I did that for about maybe about 10 years.
It's pretty amazing what can be done with makeup.
Oh yeah, especially nowadays. I feel like everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on YouTube, and they're learning how to do makeup, and you can literally transform somebody's face. I was more of a classically trained makeup artist. I was like trained on a set in LA, and that was like our training. And so when you're doing makeup for like movies or music videos, things like that, it's a little bit different than the TikTok makeup, for sure. But I think there's a place for everything, and it all looks beautiful. And if you ever would like, you can come in and we will absolutely give you a makeup lesson too.
I would love that. I would love that. And
Yes.
I'd be happy to record it and share with others too. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, what do you think some of the biggest mistakes that people are making when it comes to taking care of their skin?
So I think some of the biggest mistakes that people are making is, I think one that I see more just because mainly all the women that I speak to are already using clean beauty, but still maybe going through some things, is alcohol consumption, because that can really affect the skin in so many different ways, and too much sugar.
Yes.
I mean, both of those things just completely age you, and they really do a number on your skin. Making sure that you're hydrating properly, and then, yeah, making sure that you're using clean beauty.
Yes. Very interesting about alcohol. So, pick your poisons in a toxic world. I recently gave up alcohol. I'm not going to say I'll never have a drink again, but
Sure.
it's been 3 months and I feel great. I can still socialize, and beauty is my motivating factor, but it also benefits my health. So that's great.
Yeah.
And then sugar, I've been learning a lot about glycation and how
Hmm.
that is going to age us. So, what
Yes.
is your understanding about that?
Yeah. I mean, sugar, what it does to our body is just causes so much inflammation. And when you have a lot of inflammation, you are aging your skin at a much faster rate, as we all know.
Recently, I ate a pint of ice cream. I'm going through a breakup, so I ate a pint of ice cream, and the next morning I woke up and I felt 104. I just felt so sluggish. I had more wrinkles, and people don't think about food even being related to beauty. And I would also
Absolutely.
add washing the face at night. I'm someone who
Yeah.
did lasers and fillers and Botox and all the treatments, microneedling, but I wasn't washing my face at night. That is such a rookie move.
Well, and it's interesting because you will have some people like say like, "Oh, this supermodel, she doesn't wash her face, at night or in the morning, or, like all these things." So you can kind of get some conflicting information when it comes to that stuff. But I definitely think it's important to wash your face at night. I prefer a double cleanse as
Mhm.
well too. So using an oil-based cleanser followed by something else, because we are living in this world where there is so much in the environment as we go out. And really, just using like one cleanser at night isn't going to do it. So, making sure you're double cleansing at night, and then just using like a mild base cleanser in the morning. Sometimes people will try to skip a cleanser in the morning, but at night you are perspiring while you sleep. So, I do
Mm,
suggest washing
okay.
your face as well in the morning.
Well, that's good to know.
I actually use a face mask every single morning. That's what I do. I switch it up. I switch it up, but it's like my little hack of what I do. Um, like every morning, my daughter knows I pretty much wake up, I'll brush my teeth, I put on some kind of face mask, and then I'll come out, make my matcha, start getting her ready for school. And that's like kind of like my routine and what I do. And, just as a mom, like I'm busy and I don't go get facials. I don't do this. So it's just like that's like my hack to making sure that I'm always keeping my skin in like the best condition possible, and I just can like get it in, leave it on, and then wash it off.
One mask I know that you use is Holy
Yes.
Bright from
Yeah.
Agent Nature. And is it Ayuna?
Yeah.
Is that how you
Ayuna.
say it? I haven't tried their mask yet, but people rave about it. Living in the desert, I feel as though my skin's really dry. Although the Holy Trinity from Agent Nature really, really helped with that. So for someone who has really dry skin, I'm asking for myself, which of the masks from Ayuna would you suggest?
Oh, that is hard because they are all good. I would recommend the Essence, which is a gommage. If you're not familiar with what a gommage is, so you put this mask on. It's a protein and oil basically peel. So you put it on, you leave it on,
Mhm.
let it on, you know, about 15-20 minutes until it completely dries, and then you go in with your fingers and you massage it off dry. It leaves your skin feeling like a baby's butt afterwards. Like it's so, so, so soft. It gets off all the dead skin, but because it's an oil, it also hydrates the skin and it brightens the skin. So it really does everything. And I feel like because you also live out here in Arizona, like we are dry and we need to turn over ourselves like all the time.
Mhm.
That's what gives us that really like nice complexion.
Well, I'm so grateful this is video because your skin is
Thank you.
glowing. I mean, you're
Thank
so
you.
radiant. And I don't think that it's an advantage that we live in such a dry climate.
No,
And I have found that women who live in humidity tend to age better. It's just like the skin is more plump, but there's still a lot that we can do.
absolutely. Yes, but I agree with you.
What are your thoughts on SPF?
Hmm.
You have red hair
Hmm.
and are a little bit more fair, so I would imagine you use some. I know you carry some, but I actually don't use
Yeah,
it that often. And if I do,
yeah.
it's zinc oxide.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's definitely controversial, like everything you just said, it's usually the sunscreen that they're using that's causing them more harm, right, than the benefit.
Many of them, yes.
However, in clean beauty, we do have mineral-based sunscreen, zinc, like you mentioned. So I do think that there are cleaner alternatives. I do think that the sun is good for us, but being an extremely fair natural redhead, yes, when I'm going to have prolonged sun exposure, I do wear SPF. I do not wear it either on a daily basis. People are always shocked of that. I don't wear it on my face on a daily basis or anything. I know myself. Like this is where you have to tune into your body, right? So if I'm at the beach, there's no way that I'm not going to wear SPF. I would be a fool
Right.
not to do that, right? But in my day-to-day life where I know that I'm kind of in and out, I don't wear it every single day. So I think that it is going to be based on the individual, based on what their exposure can be, and just being mindful of what you're using for your SPF.
Yes, I love that. And we have other options, such as UPF visors,
Totally.
hats, and clothing, things like that. So when I go outside, I will religiously wear
Yep.
a wide brim hat. It might look a little silly, but I just feel that that is a better alternative to putting things on my skin if I
Yeah.
don't have to. And so if I'm going to go into the sun, zinc oxide tends to be very white. We can look like Casper the Ghost, but you can just put makeup on top of that. Or some of them are tinted.
Some of them are tinted. Yeah, I was going to say that. So we carry a brand called Suntegrity.
Yes, love that.
They have both like one that is tinted that looks like nothing essentially when it goes on. I tell people like if you're somebody that doesn't wear makeup and you just want something that's like a tinted moisturizer SPF that doesn't look like anything, what's great is it just like creates a little bit of a blur to the skin. And then they have one that it's actually like has a little bit more coverage. It's more of a medium coverage. I will tend to wear that one a little bit more in the summer, like if I'm going to go to the park with my daughter, like I said, if I know that I'm going to be out for a long period of time. And just wearing the wide brim hat or carrying a parasol is not the option when you're running
Mhm.
after a little girl. So those are the things that I do. But yeah, I think that this is another area that I think that we're going to really see like improving, where there's going to be a lot of people that are getting on board and they're going to be making products that are going to be better.
Yes. And going back to SPF and the sun, I also believe, I know this is controversial to say, but I believe that the sun is here for us. It makes us healthy. Don't let yourself burn. And I think people need to know their limits. And something I learned is that when we wear sunglasses, it's going to make us more likely to burn because our eyes are not adjusting to the sun. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is super interesting. I actually hardly ever wear sunglasses. It shocks people. But when I wear sunglasses, it makes me feel like it doesn't make me feel good. It's interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think the sun is it's something that like for the average person, they're not going to be as tuned in. But the more that you can be and more know your body, I think that the sun, I'm very on board with that. It's here for us. It's what gives us life. So it's
Hmm.
what gives everything life.
Do you carry any self tanners at your store?
Yes, we do. And I really love the one from Suntegrity. I personally use it. It's a great one. It doesn't streak. I do go get spray tans as well. Like if I'm going to have an event, I will go get a spray tan. There's a great place here locally that does an organic spray tan called Bronze Buddha that I go to. And I think that tanning is completely fine to just self tan as well.
Very cool. So I have not yet tried a low tox or a
Ooh,
cleaner version of a self tanner. So that'll be one to try. Do you remember Saint
yeah.
Tropez?
Hmm.
Saint Tropez? We had one
Yeah.
back in the day. I used to love that one, but not the
Yeah,
cleanest
definitely
ingredients.
not. Yeah, there's
So,
a lot of other choices
okay,
out there now.
awesome. So, do you have any tips for preventing that look that can come on the hands if we're not blending it well? Like for knuckles or joints or areas that aren't as smooth?
Making sure you really moisturize very well and wash your hands right after, you know? Like when you're going to self tan at home, it's almost easier to let somebody go do it, do it for you because it does take a lot of prep work. Like I always like will dry brush myself, I exfoliate, like get everything all
Mm-hmm.
ready, right? And then I'll go in and you can use like a mitt and use it with like do like a mitt so you're not
Mm-hmm.
like getting it on your hands and stuff.
Okay, very cool. Would you say that you have any recommendations for how often to clean your makeup brushes and any products that you carry to help with that?
Yeah, so we do have like a spray that you can spray your brushes with just to if you're somebody that likes to clean them every single day. I tell people 1 to 2 weeks, just kind of depending on your skin type, right? If you're somebody that's already acneic prone, then you may want to wash them more frequently. You may want to wash your brushes every single week. Whereas like somebody like myself, I have dry skin, I'm not really acne prone. I wash them about every 2 weeks. I just wash them in a mild fragrance-free soap. That's what I use. I use a Dr. Bronner soap, and that's what I'll use to kind of wash them with.
Okay. So, what's the name of the product that you would use to spray on the makeup brushes if you were going to do that on a daily basis?
Yeah, so Jane Iredale makes a botanical brush cleaner, and you
Okay,
just can spray it in like a Kleenex and then just wipe your brush clean, which is really nice.
that's awesome. Okay, so I am very big on that beauty comes from within.
Yes.
And you can decorate your shell. I am all about it. And I believe if you look good, you feel good. It's not something that I'm apologizing for. And I think a lot of people feel that if you want to look good, that it's there's something wrong with that. And I see it as this is my vessel and I want to take care of it inside and out. And what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in that as well because when you are looking good, you are feeling good, and that's how you're showing up in this world. So making sure that you are doing the things that make you happy, but also understanding that true beauty does come from within. I think it's interesting because subconsciously we don't even trust people that don't show up and aren't glowing. You know what I mean? If somebody comes in and their skin is
It
like
is
just
interesting.
like gray or dry or whatever, we don't trust them as much, which is an interesting thing. So I actually do Kundalini yoga, and having enough breath, having enough chi, that's really what stimulates you and makes you grow. It brings that blood and that life force to the skin, and a lot of people aren't breathing. They're walking around, and I mean, I
Yeah.
can ask people when's the last time you've taken a conscious breath today, and they just have zero idea. So making sure that you're breathing, you're hydrating properly. Those are things that come from the inside, and just also like being a good person, right? Like being somebody that's showing up in the world and
Yeah.
being the best that you are, you're naturally just going to radiate more.
I love that. And my grandfather used to say, beauty is as beauty does.
Yeah.
And how we treat people. I love that you included that in your definition of beauty because that is very important. And so many people, maybe in my early 20s, I would just go to the dermatologist's office, I would wear makeup, and I thought everything looks great. But over time, and I don't know what your thoughts on filler are, I'm not against it. I tried
Mhm.
PRF under my eyes. I don't know if that's going to work. But with things like that, over time, it can look a little funny. So, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also like not against it at all. I'm for whatever makes you
Mhm.
feel good and brings joy to yourself. Um, I have not done fillers myself. I'm not saying that I would never,
Wow.
but I'm a big believer in a lot of at-home treatments. Because there's so many things like I use like a microcurrent device and I use that almost every single day that's working to like lift and firm my skin. Like I said, I do the mask every single day. I have gotten Botox, so I have done Botox before in my life. I've never done it on a regular basis, but I've done it here and there. I've dabbled in
Mhm.
that. And I also have heard conflicting things about it, and I can certainly understand why people think that it's not maybe good, or you're not getting, you know, enough blood flow to that lymph and all of that. I certainly can understand the concerns. However, what I will say is I think that whether you're using Botox, whether you're using fillers or not, making sure that you're combining it along with some kind of, you know, gua sha routine or facial massage or microcurrent or all of the above, like I do, you're going to get your results to last longer. And the healthier your skin looks, the better it's going to age, and the better you know, it just, everything goes with that. You know, you may not need to use as much of the product then. So you can kind of go back and forth with that, because I see a lot of women that will get like fillers or Botox, but then the overall quality of their skin looks like it doesn't look good, you know? So making sure that you're doing those things, I think then just helps to prolong if you're choosing to do those services. And, you know, maybe you feel like you can back away from them, or maybe you don't.
Something interesting you mentioned is the microcurrent device. Which one do you use?
So we actually sell one called TheraFace, and it's from the people that make the TheraGun.
Oh, cool.
So it's got like four different things. So it's got a cleansing wand, it's got a percussion therapy. So the percussive therapy actually helps to tone the facial muscles. It's got the light therapy. So I know that you are familiar with red light. So you can do red light, blue light, you can do infrared. And then they have the microcurrent attached to it as well. And I use Holy Lift as my conductive gel
Wow.
with the microcurrent on there, because Holy Lift is such, it's aloe based, so it works super well as a conductive gel, and using it in combination with the microcurrent is like the ultimate, like, I mean, you're just getting so many benefits. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Sold. I'll be in later. I'm amazed how full your cheeks are.
Yes, I get that a lot.
You know, to say that you've never had filler, that's incredible.
Oftentimes people will even like comment on Instagram to me, and they'll be like, "You've done so, how can you be in clean beauty? You've done so much to your face." This is my natural face. I will, like, you know, this is one of these things that, you know, when I was a kid, I was extremely teased for having big cheeks, red hair, all of the things. And now it's my blessing. So thank you. Thank you, bullies and all
Yeah.
the things, you know, it finally came through for me.
People pay good money for that.
Thank you.
So, gua sha, that is something that I've done Sculptra twice, here and here. So that isn't something that I have a concern doing gua sha. But for traditional filler, hyaluronic acid, that can migrate, right? So do you have concerns about either rolling or doing gua sha with that?
So what I typically tell people if they are going to do those kinds of fillers is to avoid anything like that for about 1 month. Kind of let everything settle in,
Okay.
and then you can go in and kind of mildly do some of those things. You should be safe, but as you said, I mean, filler can migrate. So, you know, you kind of just got to
Hmm.
see.
Have you ever tried like face taping or frownies or something like that?
I have not. I've been dying to though. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, so I can't really speak to it one way or the other. I think the concept is great. Um, I don't want to sleep with something though taped to my face. I definitely, for me, think like that's like, I don't know, it just feels counterintuitive to like everything like skincare wise, but I know that you can leave them on for even just a few hours and it can make all the difference. And I do think that there are ways that you can completely retrain your face and your facial muscles.
Yes. I recently had a facial massage, buckle.
I saw that on your Instagram. I was actually going to ask you when we were done recording, because I have been dying to find someone here locally that does that, because I do think that those things make such a difference. Because what I do know is that the tension that we hold in our jaw and in our neckline completely ages us.
Mhm.
So the more relaxed that we are in our necks, our jaws, all of that, then, you know, the more our facial muscles are just going to look soft and more plump, and more full of life. What was your
It
experience?
was incredible. I did receive a facial at first. So you're in there for 3 hours, and then the first 30 minutes is a consult, very thorough. And it's called Zyla Skin on Instagram, XYYLA Skin. and then 2.5 hours of doing a facial and facial massage. And she'll use gloved fingers when she's inside, but rubbing everything. I mean, I didn't know how much tension I carried
Sure.
in my jaw until the next day. It was incredible. So I will absolutely be doing that once a month. And it's very reasonable and it is so cool. I'm so grateful to find it.
Yeah. Well, I will be joining you on that journey, Ashley. I'm going to go check them
Yeah.
out.
What about cosmetic acupuncture?
It's not something that I've ever tried, but it's definitely something that is also on my list. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
really good things from people about it. Um, and I think with just, traditional Chinese medicine, that doesn't surprise me. Something that's been around for a long time. And, it's not things that we're reaching for. We want that quick, instantaneous fix. That's what we're used to, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, in passing, you mentioned that you are very into esoteric practices. So, can you tell me a little bit more about that? I know you mentioned Kundalini, but what do you do for yourself here?
Yeah, so I mean, with Kundalini yoga, I do a lot of different things. Uh, in Kundalini yoga, we do what's called the root lock, where you squeeze all the rectum, the sex organs, everything, because it is believed that every muscle in your body needs to be tight. Otherwise, that's going to affect your face, right? So if you're loose down there, you're going to be loose here.
Interesting.
So making sure that you're doing those kinds of things. Also, breath of fire. So I will oftentimes like really go into like a breath of fire before I even like if I'm going out to a special event or something like that. It just gives the skin like an instantaneous, like radiant glow. And then I love to use crystals and all kinds of things. I'll even use it to charge my skincare. So for instance, like the holy water and the holy sea, I'll put it in my hand and I'll activate it all together. And I may even put like a little crystal and let it sit in my hand for a minute just to kind of charge the skincare. Because I think when it comes to clean beauty, one of the things that I also wanted to just say is like, it's just so much different than like being like the ingredients they carry a vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're alive, and the ingredients that they're chosen are so intentional versus like something that's made in a lab that's meant to last forever. I mean, it's like processed food, right? Like it's not good.
Right.
So I like to charge a lot of my skincare with crystals. I'll put crystals on me when I'm, just even like doing like a facial thing or all of that. I love to use anything that I can to amplify the results of things.
Very cool. Do you use any red light?
I do. Yeah, I have a full red light panel at home as well too.
Very cool. Okay, so I am very intrigued. I have Holy Lift and I would love to start microcurrent
Yeah.
or using a microcurrent device, but I really don't know how. So, how exactly does that work?
Yeah, so a microcurrent, the device, you want to make sure that you have a lot of
Hmm.
product on. So a lot of the Holy Lift as the conductive gel. Otherwise, it can get a little zappy because you are delivering an electrical current to the skin. So you want to make sure that you have ample amount of that on. And then you would kind of follow just the same routine as you would with anything that you're doing with like a gua sha. So you kind of want to go up and then down and up and down. So you're always kind of following what you want the natural face to do.
Is that something that you would do morning and evening, just evening? Like, when's the best time to do it?
So you can only do microcurrent once in a 24-hour period, and you can do it for about five
Okay.
minutes. So you would do it once a day for 5 minutes.
Would you gua sha on the same day that you do that?
You can, you absolutely can. Yep.
Okay.
But just with the microcurrent, it's kind of one of those things where like more isn't, it's not more.
More is not always better. I'm a
Exactly.
big believer in that in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
After 2020, a lot has changed, especially in aesthetics and in the beauty world. Do you find that things really amplified and people were more interested after 2020, realizing how important our health is, and people are on Zoom a lot more, looking at themselves? So I know cosmetic procedures went up a lot, but what did you find in your store as far as the products that people were choosing?
You know, I haven't necessarily seen so much of a change. I wish I had seen more of a change, but I also think that a lot of people, there's been so many other stores that have popped up on like online things like that. So maybe they're shopping other places. I'm not sure. But actually, my business, I'm still waiting to get back to my 2019 numbers. We haven't quite, recovered from that yet. So I think from a retail perspective, this is kind of what I've heard from a lot of different brands as well too. So I think that it's something that's going to continue to grow though. I really do. And it's my passion and it's what I love.
For sure. If you feel comfortable sharing, how old is your daughter?
My daughter she's going to be 5.
Okay, so what does she think about the masks and the makeup and all of that? And and how do you feel about her using those things?
Well, she's super into it, but she knows that so she get the only thing that I let her use is like lip gloss nowadays. And then I do paint her nails. Although I
Okay.
allow my nails to be whatever, I use a water-based nail polish on her because I just do think that children, especially at that age, there's really no need for them to be using anything anything different.
Hmm.
And so she just knows that when she uses her lip gloss, it's she's got some boundaries and some rules around it. And I know that she'll want to do more and more as it comes later in life because she just loves going to Citrine and she loves like being with the girls and all of that. So we'll see what comes with it. But, I'm her mother and I'm going to teach her the way. And hopefully she will just take that and continue. And, it'll be what becomes normal, that a lot of these companies are just on board.
It's such a fun atmosphere there. Everyone is so nice and lively. I know I've been there for events, but it's light and it's just such a beautiful space. And every time I go there, I see something new. Like I said, I haven't tried RMS yet. There are also products for men, correct?
Yeah, there are products for men. So, my husband, he has a site where he has products for men, and we carry them in store as well too,
Oh, cool.
because he is also very mindful of what he uses, and he wanted to kind of curate a few brands that he liked in particular. So we do carry those. He carries them on his site, and then we carry them in our store.
Okay, super cool. So, not just for the ladies, we have options as well.
Yeah.
And sleep position.
Mm.
That's something when I would go to the dermatologist, she's like, I can tell that you're sleeping on the left side. Like, how could you tell that? So, what what would you say about sleep position? Is that something that you prioritize, or you just get the hours in that you can and call it?
Well, for me as a mom, I get the hours in as I can.
Yeah.
Because my daughter's not sleeping through the night currently, so I'm up quite a bit. But one of the things that I will say is even if you are a side sleeper, just investing in a really good quality silk pillowcase is something that will also help tremendously. So I do sleep with a silk pillowcase, and it makes a difference for not just the skin, but your hair as well too.
Because it's not pulling like the
Exactly.
cotton would.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So, what do you personally avoid to be able to look and feel your best? You mentioned alcohol
Yeah.
and sugar when I said, what do you think the mistakes that the general public is making? But is there anything specifically for you that you find does not help you or makes you feel tired or aged or anything like that?
Oh, I'm not a drinker. I mean, I will drink occasionally if I'm out like in a social situation, but it's extremely rare. So, I mean, sleep, but that's a little interesting for me right now because it's obviously something that I can't help. But I think for me, my biggest pillars are the no alcohol, being mindful of, not a lot of processed foods, making sure that I'm getting ample amount of protein.
Hmm.
I noticed that about myself, which everybody is an individual, so I'm not here to advocate on
Hmm.
one way or the other with that. Um, and then sleep and making sure that I'm making time for some kind of mindfulness every single day, whether that's like for me as a mom, whether that's like a 10-minute meditation or just doing 5 minutes of breath work, whatever that is, that makes me feel so much more grounded and like I can show up and, you know, my nervous system is regulated. I can show up and be a good human being, not just for my daughter and my family, but also for the rest of the world.
Yes, and that is amazing that you mentioned the nervous system because a lot of people have beautiful shells or meat suits, as I call it.
Yeah.
But if you are a stressed out maniac, that's not very attractive.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, yeah, taking care of ourselves, being kind to people, like you mentioned, definitely sleep, all of these things together make a difference. And I think in our 20s, I'm 35, you said you are 41.
Yes.
Okay, so in our 20s, I think we can really get away with a lot because our body can compensate. So it's hard to connect the dots between the two. But as I get older, I start to see how these things affect me. And that's also why I gave up alcohol.
Yeah.
Is that why you gave it up? Just because you want to age as gracefully as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I not even a vanity thing. It literally does
Okay.
not agree with my body. I just feel the second I even have one drink, I feel completely like so much inflammation in my body. And,
Hmm.
you know, it's just not something that I prefer to do.
So, what do you think about the future of skincare and light specifically? Because
Hmm.
blue light is for acne,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Red light is great for post procedure, but I know infrared we wouldn't want to use for 3 days because that can create more heat. At least I've been told. So, how have you seen light used and how do you think it will be used in the future?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think that more and more people are going to get on board with this, especially with red light. So red light is really good for preventative aging as well too. I don't like to use the word anti-aging because we all would like to age, right? That means we're living.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I think that you will see more developments in this. I think people more at-home devices that people can use at like more affordable price points come into the mix. And I just I think that there's a lot that will happen with light frequencies. I mean, there's so much that can play a part in things and just make things more amplified, like I mentioned. Like even like the crystals, right? Like it's just it's amplifying things.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the future of skincare and beauty. And it seems like we have more options and options that are better for us.
Yeah.
And I also really wanted to say thank you because tomorrow morning I'm leaving for Iceland. We are going on a retreat. It's a restorative wellness retreat. And I am a nurse and I left because of burnout and other requirements that I just wasn't comfortable with.
Sure.
And it was really, really hard to retrain my nervous system to slow down. Like I was just used to being jacked up. So that's what we're doing. But I wanted to say thank you because you provided the most amazing gift bags for all of the women coming and they're going to be blown away. So I appreciate you so much for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Of course.
Okay, so in wrapping up, is there anything else that you would like to share? Any related to beauty or, looking and feeling our best? Is there anything that we didn't discuss that comes to mind?
Nothing that comes to mind. No. I think just, making sure that whenever you make choices, that you are making the right decisions for yourself. Really listening to your body, making sure things work for you. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, beauty is fun. So just try it out. If you're somebody that's new to clean beauty and maybe listening to this and you haven't experienced it before, just, you know, I also think, like we mentioned a little bit at the beginning, like people can take it too extreme to the other side. Like, I need to throw everything out right this second. It's like, no, just like as you go through things, let's just swap it out. Let's find a
Hmm.
really great replacement because beauty should be something that is enjoyable and it feels good. And that just kind of goes across the board with, the way that you feel when you're using it, the way that it feels on your skin. Like it should feel good. It shouldn't hurt.
Yes. Okay, so how can people find you?
They can find us on Instagram. So we're Citrine Beauty AZ on Instagram. They can find our website, which I'm sure you'll probably put in some show notes, so I won't go
Hmm.
on there. And then if you're local to Phoenix, we do have our brick and mortar store. We're located at the Biltmore Fashion Park.
Yes, and everyone is so nice. Everyone is so friendly. You go stores sometimes, I just feel like everyone loves what they're doing there.
Yeah.
And I can feel the passion. So it does make it fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just for me, I make sure that the people that I hire and the way that I take care of them, it's very important to me as well too. Like we had like a team event the other night and we did sound bowl healing. You know what I mean? Like that's also not a typical retail store either. So
Well, whatever you're doing is working. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
The energy is amazing. The products are amazing. Every time I go, I love it. It is a high maintenance hippie's dream store. So thank you for what you're doing. And I'm excited to try more. I think the microcurrent, not a Theragun, but
They're a
Theraface.
face, yes.
Okay. And if any of you are listening and you have not shopped at the store before, you can use my discount code, which is Ashley Taylor Wellness, and save 10% off of your first order.
Yes. That is correct.
And which brands are not included in that?
So Kypris, Therabody, and
Okay.
Vintner's Daughter. There's just a couple brands that
Okay.
unfortunately don't allow discounting. So, but
Well, that's
yeah,
okay.
they're all good.
Yeah. It's an investment.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so, so much. I appreciate your time. You're a wealth of knowledge and you walk the walk. And I'm just so excited to see what you continue to do and come back into the store soon and see what events and products and things you have. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for today.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley.
Citrine is my favorite one-stop shop for all things clean skincare and beauty. I'm so grateful to have found this store because it's truly a high maintenance hippie's dream store. It can be really overwhelming making swaps. I started doing this in 2016. There were so many options. And yeah, there were some products that had fewer toxins, but they didn't exactly work. So I love this store because the owner, Melissa, has curated the best of the best. Many lines that I was already using. Agent Nature is a great example. Tata Harper, Kypris, and today I'm going to share about one of my favorites. But if you go to Citrine, you can shop online and you save 10% with the code Ashley Taylor Wellness. Normally, you only get 10% off on your first order, but they have been so generous and you can apply that to multiple orders. The only brands where this is not applicable is Vintner's Daughter, Therabody, they also make the TheraFace tool, and Kypris Beauty. Everything else you get 10% off and it's incredible. So one of my favorites that I want to share with you is InnerSense. It's a line of hair care products and I use their shampoo. I'm a blonde, so I love their Bright Balance Hair Bath. It's a purple shampoo, a much lower tox alternative to the other ones that I was using. They have a hydrating cream conditioner. I also use this. But since I only wash my hair once a week, if I'm keeping it real, I love the InnerSense Hydrating Hair Mask. My hair feels like silk after having this on. You keep it on about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll wash my hair in the very beginning, put this on, and then use a shower cap and just let it soak. It's incredible. And then when I get out of the shower, there is a Hair Love prep spray that I use to protect my hair from heat. And since I'm getting ready to travel today, I also wanted to mention the Hydrate Travel Trio. So this has some products that you can fit in your airport bag so that TSA is not going to jack it from you. And I love it. So it's a hydrating cream hair bath, hydrating cream conditioner, and Sweet Spirit leave-in conditioner. InnerSense is a line that I've been using and I use hair extensions. They've lasted up to a year, which is pretty much unheard of. So really love these products and I wanted to share that with you as one of my favorites. So once again, you can go into the store, Citrine. The code will actually work if you mention it in person, Ashley Taylor Wellness. You can go to their website, citrinenaturalskin.com. Use the code Ashley Taylor Wellness to save 10% off. And I look forward to sharing more of my favorites. This store is amazing and I couldn't think of a better company to help support the podcast because it is everything high maintenance hippie and I absolutely love it. Thank you for listening to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review, ideally a 5-star review if you loved it. All of this is free of charge and really helps me to be able to run the podcast. If you take a screenshot and tag me, I'll repost you and shout you out on Instagram. So tag Ashley Taylor Wellness and High Maintenance Hippie Podcast. If you have any feedback or guests that you'd like to have, I would love to hear from you so that I'm not just talking at you. I really want to deliver things that are valuable. So send me an email with any feedback, suggestions, or ideas for guests at ashley@ashleytaylorwellness.com. And I will leave you with a disclaimer. Please know that this is not medical advice or replacement for seeking medical care. Everything discussed on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Always consult with your medical provider before making any changes. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.